Yeah. Start.
Okay. Summary of Panchadashi L-45. The discussion concerns the actual experience of this empirical world and the emotional experience within us. We are examining what we truly experience, the material world and the emotional world. The material world is said to be the creation of God, and the emotional world, the creation of the Jiva, the individual. The various stories of creation describe how everything emerged from Brahman or Satchitananda. Different names and forms and different actions appear, and we require a method to connect these names, forms, and actions as the process of creation. In Vedanta, there is, in reality, no creation at all. This ultimate standpoint, known as Ajatavada, declares that creation cannot be ultimate and no theory can prove it to be real. Yet, we still discuss creation in order to connect our experiences and understand the outer world, the inner world, and the problems we face. The truth is that our emotions and problems are created by ourselves, though we resist accepting this. We cannot blame God, the world, or others. We have our karma, we perform new karmas, and we wait for results. From the beginning, karmas performed and results awaited have led to experience those results in another body. If we accept that we create our own problems, Vedanta can help. Otherwise, there is no remedy. Thus, it is important to distinguish between God's creation and Jiva's creation. Confusion arises because many individuals with different bodies, minds, attitudes, emotions, and karmas interact and bind one another. Yet, God's creation is balanced. The problem lies only in our creation. Sloka 10. Continuing with God's creation, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad describes how God created Virat, the universal gross body, then Manu, the ancient lawgivers, and from them human beings, cattle, donkeys, horses, goats, ants, and all beings, including bacteria and virus. Male and female pairs, Dvandvam, were formed, and thus creation continued. After creating the physical forms, Ishwara entered them as Antaryami, the indweller. Like the sun reflected in water kept in a vessel, when the subtle body, Antakarna, entered the physical body, the reflection of consciousness appeared. This is Pravesha. However, Ishwara changed his form, Rupantaram, before entering. The subtle body is impure, mixed with rajas and tamas, accumulated karmas and ignorance. Ishwara, associated with the purest sattva of Maya, cannot reveal his original form where rajas and tamas dominate and previous karmas are accumulated. When rajas and tamas are dominant, Ishwara Chaitanya, the pure consciousness, cannot reveal himself. Separate Antaryami, the indweller in all beings, as God. When rajas and tamas are dominant, Ishwara is unable to reveal his form and appears as limited jiva. Dominance of Rajoguna causes sorrow, and Tamaguna causes ignorance and bondage, producing individuality, identification with body, birth and death, and perception of duality and multiplicity. Without this change, there would be no duality. Thus, the same supreme consciousness associated with Maya is Ishvara. And when conditioned by the distracting and dividing factors of creation, that is Rajas and Tamas, becomes Jiva, the living being, which one is sustained by prana. Prana Dharanat. Jiva is holding this vital energy called prana. Shloka 11 explains the definition of how Jiva becomes Jiva. Pure consciousness is the Adhishtanam, the substratum, the base of everything. When the Jiva identifies with that Chaitanyam, that pure consciousness, he attains Jivan Mukti and liberation, because that consciousness is already present. Along with this comes the Linga Sharira, the subtle body. Just as sunlight is reflected in water, pure consciousness is reflected in the subtle body. Therefore, three factors together constitute the Jiva: pure consciousness, the subtle body, and the reflection of consciousness called the Chit-chaya or Chidabhasa. These three together form the distinguishing mark of Jivatva. To realize what Jiva is, one must separate and distinguish these three. How can three together constitute an individual? Pure consciousness cannot be called individual because it is all-pervading. The subtle body also cannot be called individual because it is constituted by 17 tattvas, 5 jnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, 5 pranas, mind and intellect. Where there are many elements together, there is no individuality. The reflection of consciousness cannot be called an entity either, just as the reflected sun in water has no separate existence from the sun. Therefore, individuality is only a complex constitution, a mix-up of different elements. Because it is complex and composed of multiple factors, it cannot act in a definite or uniform way and cannot be considered a separate entity. When we examine the Panchakoshas, each kosha has a different character and function. How can 5 different elements together give a single individuality? According to Vedanta, when this complex constitution is separated through meditation, nothing remains except consciousness. The limitation arises from the antakarana, the mind and intellect, which are dominated by rajas and tamas. Consciousness itself is unlimited, but when it passes through the limited intellect, it appears limited. Because of rajas and tamas, sorrow and ignorance arise. Through sadhana, by purifying sattva guna and removing rajas and tamas, the intellect loses its limitation and the aham brahmasmi vritti appears. The same consciousness is in Ishwara and in you and everywhere. Limitation belongs only to the intellect. Shloka 12 discusses Maya and Avidya. Maheshwari Maya, the power of Maheshwara, has 2 Shaktis, Nirmana Shakti, the creative power, and Moha Shakti, the power of delusion. Ishwara keeps the creative power and gives the deluding power Avidya to the Jiva. Maya is cosmic and one, reflecting universal consciousness. Avidya is individual, differing in each mind. Ignorance allows worldly life and enjoyment to continue. Without avidya, one cannot live the normal empirical life. Thus, Ishwara retains Nirmana Shakti and gives Jiva the power of delusion to function in this world. With this, Svamiji had concluded the last class. Over to you, Swamiji. Hari Om.
Shrutismritipurananamayam karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krito Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishwaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namah Shri Dakshinamurtaye Namah Namaste Shankarananda Gurupadambu Janmane Savilasa Mahamoha Graha Grasaika Karmane Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Namo Narayanaya. Ishvara has the creative power. Maya, a very famous creative power of Ishvara. Similarly, Jiva, the individual, soul also has one power that is called Moha Shakti. So in this chapter, here the discussion is the separation of Ishwara-srishti and Jiva-srishti. The creation of Supreme Consciousness as God and the creation of individual consciousness. So there we can see that the power of Moha Shakti, the power of delusion, that is the actual cause, or we can say the immediate cause of the creation by Jiva. So whatever we experience in our life, or what we call as life, so that all those things are experienced by this delusion, as we call it Avidya. So therefore, that is the power. Now, if someone thinks on it, he can understand that whatever created by avidya, by ignorance, delusion, cannot be true, cannot be real, then how the experience of those things become real? So nothing is real here. So in reference with Jiva's creation. Therefore, when we think about reality and unreality, we call that creation of God, the world what we see outside, is seemingly, appearingly as real, because it stays on, it doesn't come and go. But whereas our creation, individual creation, it constantly changes. Every day we have different emotions, different mood. So we have different experiences. The experience we have is based on our own emotional changes. So therefore, as we clearly discussed in last class, the creation of individual cannot be stable. You can't rely on that. You cannot rely on the experience what you have, because it will change. So in relation with all experience, whatever we experience in our relations with others, relations with the objects outside, everything changes, because as we have seen, this individuality is a complex constitution. So because it cannot decide anything, it has so many things together: karma, and then the emotions, and 5 elements and its manifestation. And there is a reflection of consciousness, previous karmas, present karmas, and other relations. So the related karmas, common karmas. So many things are together. Therefore, it is uncertain, unstable. We experience so many different things. So that is the problem or of what we can call it as the experience of the world, experience of the world created by us. So therefore, it is important to accept. We know it is happening like this. Now we have to accept this avidya is confronting, avidya is connecting all this. So the binding thing is avidya. So avidya is making the bondage. So therefore, we need avidya to experience samsara. In other words, we can say like this. If there is no avidya, there is no ignorance, there is no confusion, there is no delusion, then you can't experience the world outside. Then your experience will be something different, totally different. So that is the experience of enlightened person, Jivan Mukta, Jnani. So when we think about ourselves, we relate ourselves with this, all these things outside, and within that relation, we think, we act. So you see how clear this, that the experience of individuality is totally created by individuality. Therefore, the next shloka conclude this first part of discussion as Ishwara-srishti. Mohadanishatam prapya magno vapushishochati Ishwara-srishtamidam dvaitam sarvamuktam samasataha. Mohadanishatam prapya magno vapushishochati. So thus, this jiva, due to delusion, mohad, because due to delusion, anishadam prapya, he lost all the powers, the special superpowers. He become powerless. Anishadam prapya, magno, merged. And Vapushi Shochati, he is identified with this body. He lost all the special qualities of consciousness, superpowers. He become powerless. And now he weeps out, weeps in sorrow. Shochati. Now see how he become. Mohad anishwadam prapya magno vapushi shojati. So the identification with this physical body makes him powerless or with limited power. So then he is unable to even control his body. He can't control his mind. He cannot do anything. To manage a small family also, he weeps. He is struggling with managing his own activities. There are so many fears. Every day he has so many problems, facing so many problems, unable to solve it. Then at last accept it and live with that, and every day weeping. Sometimes outside, sometimes inside. So this is what happened. So mohad anishadam prapya magno vapushi shochati. So Ishwara-srishtamidam dvaidam sarvamuktam samasadaha. He says Up to this point, we have briefly discussed the creations, the manifestation of Ishwara. Ishwara-srishtam idam Dvaitam. So this duality created by Ishwara, we have discussed samasataha. Samasada means briefly. So the universal creation, what we call as the world created by Ishwara. So that is the same for everyone. And the Ishwara, Jiva-srishti is different. Each Jiva-srishti is different. So the confused state of mind creates all this. Therefore, no proper thinking of pro and cons of issues. We always have so many issues because we are confused, we are unable to think properly. If you can think properly, then the problem is solved. So we will not think, we can only think up to a point, then above that we don't think. So we think, we believe that if we think beyond that, it will go out of our hands. So that is why we won't think beyond that. So this is what is the problem with the Jiva-srishti. So Jiva-srishti is actually under Ishwara-srishti. How Jiva-srishti is under Ishwara-srishti, that is described in 12th sloka. Because the potentiality of creation, Nirmana Shakti, that is Maya. Maya has a special power called power of delusion, Moha Shakti. And that Moha Shakti is given to each Jiva. Now Jiva is using that Moha Shakti and creating. So this is the connection of Ishwara-srishti and Jiva-srishti. Be careful with this point, where the creation of God and creation of individual is connected. This is the point where it is connected. No, you don't say that God created this and God gave all this pain, all these problems. I have this sorrow because God gave me. No, you don't say that. It is blame to God if you say that. So universe, what God created universe. And whatever God created, He created for everyone. It's like the same experience for all, the 5 elements and its manifestation. So that is a universal creation. So the universality doesn't create problems. Universality doesn't create problems. Individuality creates problems. So Ishwara cannot create problems. There is no universal problem. You cannot say there is a problem called universal problem. No. If you want to say, you can say the creation itself is a problem. Then that's another thing. But apart from that, you cannot say there is a problem called universal problem. No. Because according to our theory, if something is universal, it cannot be a problem. Problem should be distinguished or limited to individuals or individual, the unit of individuality, like a social problem and all other problems. Now, when we separate countries, like we have many countries, 199 countries we have. So we have separated all these countries and people. Now they are fighting each other. Now you can see they are fighting this Iran and Israel and America and India, Pakistan, there's Russia, Ukraine. Those, you see how bad these people. They are confused. As I said, they cannot think properly. They cannot decide why they are killing each other. They don't know. And what they are going to gain. And now, till now, we had so many wars. What gained after war? What was the benefit? Nothing. Everything is the same. They went and killed so many people in Afghanistan in last last decade. And what happened? Again, the Taliban came and they are doing the same thing, even more cruel they are. So now what is solved? Nothing is solved. So this creation, when this creation is separated, made when you make individual parts separation, you have problems. When you think universally, when you contemplate on that same existence as consciousness, if they can do that, then problem is solved, because universality doesn't create any problem. It cannot create any problem. Like sky or the space. Can space create any problem for anybody? No. The air, we have air everywhere. Can air create any problem? Air is not creating any problem. Sun is not creating any problem. Moon not creating any problem. Now you see, whatever created by God, if these people who are doing all this war and they are I don't know what they are thinking about. If they think about God, if they believe in God, they are all religious people. They believe in God, but I don't know what type of God they have. And the one God says you kill other people, other God's son. And the other God says, no, you kill the other son. So you go, okay, what God this is? So this is because there is no universal thinking. As the God itself is limited. If God itself is limited, then there bound to be a fight. Because if there are 3, 4, 5 gods, they cannot sit quiet. No. If there are many gods, they will fight, because the one God will think why that other God is there, why he has so many followers, I don't have so many followers, so let me kill them. So yeah, God will think like that. So you are making all type of limitation for this creating problems. So the break the limitation limit and go universal. So if whatever is there universally, it cannot create problem. So therefore, they don't fight for space. The space is everywhere, because space cannot be taken away. And then for what they do, they make a boundary, even for a barrier or boundary or something for the space. And then they say, no, this is our space, that is your space. You don't come to our space, you don't go. So this is all is a funny thing. How can we call we are intelligent? We are actually very poor people. We don't know. We don't have any thinking process in our mind. We are killing ourselves. So the limitation is the problem. Therefore, the individual creation is problem, but universal creation as God's creation, there is no problem. It's beyond all problems. Therefore, Jiva-srishtamidam Dvaidam sarvamuktam samasataha. Now, up to this point, now we are having a stop here on the discussion of Ishwara-srishti and continuing with the Jiva-srishti. in the next sloka, referring Brihadaranyaka Upanishad again. Now you know what Jiva is creating. Jiva can only create with avidya, ignorance, and all the confusions and limitations and all this. Jiva cannot think universally. If Jiva thinks universally, is understand universally, then the whole problem is solved. So there is no separate creation then. So therefore, now the little more elaboration on Jiva-srishti. Saptanna brahmane dvaitam jiva-srishtam prapanchitam annani sapta jnanena karmana janayat pita. So in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the famous Upanishad, actually the largest Upanishad of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and the first chapter, 5th part, is called Saptanna Brahmana. The part, the name of that part, that special, that part is called Saptanna Brahmana. So there is a discussion of creation of 7 food, Sapta Anna. Food means diets, 7 kinds of diets for 7 different people. So Saptanna Brahmane Dvaidam Jiva-srishtam Prapanchitam. Here the Acharya says in that Saptanna Brahmana, the Jiva-srishtam Prapanchitam, there the duality created by Jiva is established, described in detail. Jiva-srishtam Prapanchitam. Third, when we say Prapancha, Prapancha means the description or elaboration in detail is called Prapancha. So there we can see it. Annani sapta jnanena karmana janayat pita. And that Jiva, the first Jiva is called Pita here, the father. We call the father, the great father, the great grandfather, great father. So that father, the first Jiva, created 7 kinds of diets, food. Here the food means the sustaining factors is called food. It's not actually food. Diet is also, we can call it, but whatever we need for sustaining ourselves, the sustaining factor is called food. So Jiva, that the first Jiva, the father, he created 7 types of diets by his action. Action is one, his karma, his previous karma. And jnana. Jnana means his upasanas, the meditations he did. So those was there as impressions, those was there in him as his karmas. With those karmas, karma and jnana means all the karmas, the actions, and the reflections of other meditations like thing. So he created it. So that was his material of creation. So he created all those objects for his sustaining his own life, his own purpose of life, and then for others also. So those were 7 foods we call anna. So 7 types of diets. So yat sapta annani medhaya tapasa janayat pita ekamasya sadharanam dve devana bhajayat त्रीणि आत्मनि अकुरुतः पशुभ्य एकं प्रायच्छत्. So this is the word there in Upanishad. Now you see, it is very interesting. Now what you think, what you created is not right. So this is your creation. You created all these 7 kinds of food with your karmas. Now those food are going to help you. Now what are those? The next shloka says, Martyannamekam devanne dve pashvannam chadurthakam annatridayam annanam viniyojanam. This is how he divided 7 kinds of food. Martyam annam ekam. So what is called sadharanam annam? So the food what we know as many kinds of food, all the living beings, mortals, they eat. So that is called annam ekam. This is for all living beings. Each animal has its own food, like that. So that is, in general, he made it one food. Martyam annam ekam. Deva anne dve. So the general food is there for human beings as well as for all the animals, all the living beings. That's called general food. That is Martyam annam ekam. And Deva anne dve. For gods, celestial beings, he made 2 annams, 2 types of food. What are they? That next shloka we will see. So in full moon day, we have one ritual, and new moon day, we have another rituals. So this is called Darsha and Purna. This ritual as like Yagam, Havan and all those. This is meant for Devatas. Actually, people daily also they perform something for gods. We do puja and naivedyam and all those havan and things like that. So they made it 2 parts like that. Devanne dve. Pashwannam chadurthakam. And something special for animals like cattle and all those. The milk is made for those animals. So milk is a special food for like cow and other animals. Anyatridayam atmartham annanam viniyojanam. And the Jiva, the human being, Jiva, he kept 3 annam, 3 foods for himself. One is general food, that also he has, and 2 for devatas, for gods, that is kept, and then 1 for pashu, 1 for animals, that is there as milk and things, and 3 he kept for himself. Now what are those 3? Now you see human being totally, he has 4 foods. One in general, what we eat as grains and all, wheat and all those, and 3 plus 3. So totally 4 he has, and 2 for devatas, 1 for another cattle and those animals. Like that he kept it. Now what are they? So next shloka says, Vrihyadikam darsha purnamaso kshiram tatha manaha vak pranaschedi saptatvam annanam avagamyatam. So vrihyadikam. So the normal food, what we call as grains such as wheat and barley and all those things, is called vrihyadikam. It's a general food. So this is there. And then Darsha Purnamaso. So this is what just now I said. According to our ritual, the system, we have one full moon day ritual sacrifice, and then new moon day sacrifice. So there are so many sacrifices, but these two are considered as the main sacrifices. So monthly rituals. So in those Darsha and Purnamasa, this is meant for Devatas. So one Grahastha should perform these two rituals. Daily is called Nitya Karma. Every month, full moon day and new moon day, he has to perform this for Devatas. So that is true for Devatas. Then Kshiram. Kshiram is milk. Milk for all other cattle. Because normally they have milk. Therefore, it's just for cattle, the milk is meant. And then 3 for himself. What are they? Manaha, Vak, Pranaha. Now all these grains and wheat, all those also there for human beings. Along with that, Manaha, mind, Vak, it means the organ of speech, and Pranaha, the vital force. These are there for other animal as well, but this is specially like mind and all those intellectually we are human being, we use mind and intellect very much. Therefore, it's specially said, though all animals, they have this, all these three. So Manaha, Prana and Vak. Now here you see this mind, Vak and Prana cannot be considered as diets. It cannot be considered as food. But Upanishad says these are also food for him. Why? If there is no prana, what will do with your wheat and barley and grains? Nothing will happen. So prana sustains this body. Therefore, I said here the food means Upanishad is trying to say what is supporting you for your life. So that is called food here. So prana sustains this body, and mind is connecting between the outside things through indriyas, through organs, and then Vak, the speech. Speech is also the operation of speech we need to connect with outside objects, connect with outside people, and things like that. So this is also helpful for our life. So therefore, these are also food, like it is also helping us for our life. So Vak, Prana, iti. So Prana, Vak and Manaha. Saptatvam annanam avagamyadam. So he says this is how this 7 kinds of food is mentioned in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Now all these 7 foods are the creation of Jiva. That is what here the Upanishad is trying to say. Now how they are the creation of Jiva? Because Jiva uses all this and then he creates new karma. And again, because we need all these 7 kinds of food for creating new karmas. So therefore, this Jivatma is a creator of this food. And all these 7 kinds of food are there because of our own karmas, the previous karmas. So, last sloka I said, annani sapta jnanena karmana ajanayat. So we are getting all this food because of our previous karmas. So food means here anything that sustains. Anything that sustains is called food here. It's not actually food. So how we are getting all this? Because of our previous karmas. So now we have previous karmas, we are getting this, and with this we are creating new karmas for next birth. Again, when we get next birth, we will have all this, and then it's God's own, like that. So this is called Saptana Brahmana. Now here, this mana, prana and vak is important. With these three anna, mana, vak, prana, by these three means we can do sadhana. If we want to get out of this circle of samsara, the great circle of samsara, if you want to get out of this, you can use this mana, vak and prana for your sadhana. So then you can go out of this creation. So this is the first part of that. Then it's continue with this. Ishena yadyapvedani nirmidani swarupataha tathapi jnana karmabhyam jivo karshit tadannatam. Hearing this, you will have a doubt. Now, how can you say this wheat and all these grains, mana, vak, prana, these are created by jiva, individual? Because the food outside we see is created by Ishwara. It is not created by us. It seems to be like that. Now, how can we say it is created by jiva? There is a confusion. So here Acharya clarifying that confusion. Ishena yadyapedani nirmitani. Though all these objects are created by Ishwara only. Yadyapi etani Ishwarena nirmitani. Actually, they are all created because this body is also created by Maya. Was that karma, Ishwara only created it. So these are all creation of Ishwara. But Swarupataha is we can say like that. But Tathapi, even though it is created by Ishwara, but still Tathapi Jnana Karmabhyam Jivo Akarshi Tadannata. Then what Jiva did, Jiva has converted them into his objects of enjoyments. Jiva Akarshid Tadannata. Jiva converted, as I said, no. People took all this, whatever created by Ishwara, and made some boundaries and made it individual. So converted and changed it into individual object of enjoyments. So jnana karmabhyam jiva akarshi tadannatam. Hence they are said to be his creation. Now the earth is not created by us. But what we do, we make a house somewhere on earth and make a boundary, then identify with that and say, this is my flat, this is my house, this is my room, all this my. So he says, actually these are all created by Ishwara, but jnana karmabhyam jiva akashi tadanna. He said, no, if everything is Ishwara's, now what I will have? I also need something. So I want to identify myself with this, my house, my room. At least my room should be my room. If people say, no, your room is also created by somebody else, you are not owning anything. If I don't own anything, so who am I? So I must have something to own. So therefore, he asked for this. Then okay, Ishwara said, if you want to do it, you can do it according to your jnana and karma. So Ishwara said, okay, I can give you, but with a condition. According to your karma, I can give you some space. So you identify with that, it's okay. So that is how Ishwara gave all this. Now we go to the market and the shop, we go to the shop and buy some things from there, give our money and then buy something and bring it to our home, and then what we think, that was there in the shop, now it is yours, it is mine. So we identify with that. So as soon as that object, that thing is touched by me, it's become mine. So you see how we do all these things. So this is how we identify with this. So now whatever the grains and wheat or whatever we have in our house, these are all made by Ishwara. Ishwara is laughing on us. God is laughing on us. You see this fool getting all those, and then he is identifying with that. And then with that, sometimes he is happy, enjoying it. Sometimes he is unhappy, weeping on that, and doing all these things. So this is very interesting. So he got all this mind, speech, prana, body, all these elements. These are all made by Ishwara only. So there, this is how we are creating it. Now, if you see this, the creation of Jiva is completely, totally foolishness. Nothing but foolishness. What is Jiva created? Foolishness. So, there is nothing real what we can see. If we can claim that this is real, this is created by me, this is, nothing is there. And he cannot claim on anything. His own children, the parents cannot claim. How can you claim it? Because they are created, and after that they are going their own way, and now you are only maintaining them for some times. That's all. That is also made by Ishwara. So therefore, if you ask what Jiva created all this confusion, all this delusion, all this foolishness. So this is the creation of Jiva. So now that is because he has the power of Avidya. He has the power of ignorance. So by ignorance, he can only create this. By ignorance, he cannot create anything real. No, the real cannot be created by ignorance. So therefore, this is a blunder. Now you see, there are so many interesting things connected with this. We will see later. Continue with this. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.
Hari Om Swamiji. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Swamiji, this karma and jnana, whether that is anything to do with the samuchaya, karma, jnana, samuchaya?
Samchaya, nothing. Samchaya, karma, jnana means this is not that jnana. This is jnana means what the meditations, the whatever we practice as upasanas. Karma and upasana. Karma means the rituals or whatever we practice according to the shastras. Those are called karmas. And the upasanas, this is not jnana. There is no samchayam of jnana, anything like that.
Okay.
Here the jnana, the word meaning of jnana is not jnana what we think.
Yeah.
Here the jnana is upasana. This is also karma only. One kind, it's a different kind of karma.
Thank you, Swamiji. Namaste.
Anybody else wants to ask? Yeah.
Swamiji, can I ask a question?
Yeah, welcome.
There are, so many people who are, out of this delusion, practicing, and, they're out of the delusion, out of this Maya, and they are kind of awakened people, so-called awakened people. But the world is, it's the way it's going. It's also like, as you mentioned, like it's going towards destruction and war and all these things. So what is the solution? We have so many people who are compassionate. We have so many people who are, awakened, and there are also, the world is getting, I don't want to be very negative, but it, like, we can see how it is going. So what is the solution to, what should we
The
do?
solution, the only solution is teaching them Vedanta. That is the only solution. Only Vedanta can help the world to bring peace. Because as I said, no, therefore I took this point of universality. If they can think universally, if they think as this globe as one, then the problem is solved. They are unable to think. So this knowledge of Vedanta, knowledge of non-duality should be there in education, in all from the childhood they must learn this, because this knowledge of this Vedanta is not religious knowledge. Anybody can learn this, because this is the knowledge of reality. Like we learn science, we learn psychology, physiology, and physics, and all those. It's a similar knowledge, because in Vedanta, we don't say Vedanta is a religious knowledge. Religious part is sometimes discussed because it is there in Vedas, therefore it's there. But the core Vedanta theory is not religious, it's beyond religion. Therefore, all religious people, they accept this concept of oneness, concept of non-duality, concept of equality, concept of liberation from all this bondage. So people accept this. The problem is all these leaders of the countries where now we have all this war and things like that, they don't know about this. They never think universally. So that is the problem. When somebody is made as a president or the prime minister of a country, he thinks this is my country. I have to protect my country and my people and everything mine. So if you see, like the same person changes. He can, yes, he must think about his country and his people, that is for sure, but he must also consider other countries and other people, because people are same, no? How can you make that separation? You cannot make separation. The animals, the being are there in the ocean, they are also our part. If they are our part, then why not other countries? So the person of the leader of the country should think universally and protect himself and his country. That is different thing. But not disturbing others' life, others' beliefs, others' acceptance. So this should come. Otherwise, there is no solution. Unnecessarily making all these weapons, They have big business on this making of these weapons and selling it, and they make wars. This is very, it's a very unfortunate that even in this era, we have all these problems. It was there long ago. Those days we can say people were not educated, they were not scientific, though they could not understand things correctly. But now we have all these developments, all this high quality education, we have artificial intelligence and all things like that. Now for what purpose we are using it? We are using for war, we are using for killing others. Now just now we have said destroying others' food, others' life. So what does it mean? What education we have? Is this can be called as education? So I think this is the problem. Basically, this universal thinking is not there. It's not there in education. It's not taught anywhere. No political party, no political leader talk about this. Therefore, it is happening. Now we have United Nations. Actually, the duty of United Nations was to control all this problem. Now United Nations itself is involved in making all these wars and things like that. Now what is the meaning of United Nations? At least the United Nation leader, the secretary or whoever the person, he could declare that we should think universally, this is not fair, we should stop. Nobody is raising any voice on this. It's a very bad condition. I think we should react like this, because no country can be safe by destroying other countries, other countrymen. How can we be like that? Because destruction is not going to give you any benefit. That is why I said, if you take the history of wars from the First World War, Second World War, whatever, if we take till today, what war gave us? There was any solution? No. The terrorism is still there, and the people who are supporting terrorism is also there, and everything is the same. And unnecessarily they are disturbing people and killing them and attacking each other and making all this nuisance, and then saying we are making peace, we are making this thing, that thing, all this. So we should keep away the religious part from the universal humanity. The universal humanity should be separate from religious action, religious practices. Religious practices, whatever you want to do, you do it. What religion you believe, if you like to believe that, you believe it, do it, whatever you want. But the universal humanity should not be affected by religious practices, religious believers. So that is what the problem is. Now, if each person believe differently, and he tried to prove his belief is correct and other person's belief is wrong, then there's war bound to happen. There is no other way. So this education should come. So what if you believe in a particular religion, you can believe and you can practice, but at the core of your mind, the universal thinking, universal understanding should be there. I practice my religion, but my practice and my religion should not disturb others. So this concept should come. That concept you can only see in Advaita Vedanta, in Sanatana Dharma, all these Upanishads. Nowhere else you can find this. So if we can teach this, if there is a time, we hope that after some time it will come, at least the United Nations, they should do something about it. We are planning to make a memorandum on this, the universal oneness, and we are planning to give to UN secretary, and trying to do it something. At least one memorandum should go there, and they should know this concept can be applied. There is no harm. Nobody is going to oppose this. No, accepting all other religion and practices, let it be there. We don't mind about it. Whoever practice whatever they want to practice, let them practice. But let the people, let the religious practices control or disturb others' practice, others' beliefs, others' life. So why we want to destroy peace? So we are trying to do it, or we may we are making a memorandum, a paper, and then through government or somebody will do it, because this the oneness theory is not a theory, it's actually a life, it's a part of life, the universality. So that is why I said universality cannot create problem. So this point they should understand why these problems are there, why this terrorism is there. Everywhere it is there. Nobody is in peace. What does it mean? So it's a very important point for today.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi